Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kristie, and our show is officially 1 year old now.
Thank you so much to all of you for watching. We couldn't have gotten this far without you. Let's jump into the first story.
Am I the asshole for leaving my best friend's birthday party early because I was a B-list guest?
How exclusive is your friend's party that there's rankings to guests?
I, 29 female, have been good friends with Sally, 30 female, since we were 8 years old. We were inseparable throughout school, but we went to different colleges. I visited her a few times each year, she'd visit me, and we'd always meet up at Christmas and summer breaks. After we graduated, I moved about a 3-hour drive from where she moved to. We still caught up often. As normally happens, we established our new professional and social lives, drifted apart, but whenever we caught up, it was like no time had passed. We were there for each other whenever we needed it. When she got married at 25, I was a bridesmaid. I declined maid of honor because I was concerned with the long commute. I couldn't do all the maid of honor duties required and expected. She drove to my place to support me when my father had a stroke. I stayed with her when she found out her ex-husband cheated and she filed for divorce. I always figured that even though life is taking us in different directions, we're always there for each other. Now to her birthday. She turned 30 last week and had a huge party this past weekend. Since it was a milestone birthday, she had it at a banquet hall, all catered, DJ, etc. It was at night, so I booked a hotel, drove up, and would drive back home the next day. When I arrived, I was ushered into a small room with 4 tables and about 10 other people. There was a portable TV on a trolley with a stream of the party in the bigger room.
Sorry, that's insane. You get to spectate the party?
One of the guests told me Sally invited more than the main hall could accommodate, and she hoped after a few people RSVP'd no, we'd all fit. But only 1 or 2 people RSVP'd no, so the venue opened a second room for the excess guests.
So she invited so many people that the fire code shunted you into the bad room.
Yeah, fire safety is serious. We can't have more people than the fire code allows in this room. I saw on the stream new people arriving after I did, so I knew I was clearly relegated to the B-lister room and wasn't brought there because the main room was already filled up.
Okay, so it's not even just you arrived late or something.
No, she made a plan for who is going in this B-lister room.
Why even invite the B-listers? Well, I guess she assumed people wouldn't show up on the A-listers, but she's just so popular.
See, that's the thing. You don't invite the B-listers until the A-listers have already RSVP'd no, and you know you have room.
Yeah, then you call up the B-listers and be like, hey, I think your invite got lost in the mail.
Yeah, that's how you do it. I know it's short notice. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but I know you don't have anything going on, so it's probably fine.
So I left after 15 minutes and took my gift with me. The next day, as I was preparing to check out of the hotel, Sally called and asked why I didn't show. Apparently, she came to the leftovers room to mingle about 30 minutes after I left and noticed I wasn't there. I told her I did attend, but I didn't realize I'd be watching a stream of her party instead of attending it, which I could have done at home. She asked if I wanted to catch up for lunch and I can give her my gift then, but I told her I needed to get back home because I had plans for the afternoon. Cue the Instagram story about how people who claim to love her don't show up, and she can't help that so many people wanted to celebrate her. During my drive home, her mother left a voicemail that she was very disappointed in me.
Mom always has to butt in, doesn't she?
But I'm here like, I'm supposed to be one of your best friends, and I got the leftover experience. Did I overreact? Am I the asshole here?
It's wild to me that anyone stayed in the B-list room.
Yeah, I would have shown up and been like, I'm getting to watch the real party, unless there was really good food. Then I might have eaten some food and left. But if I showed up and was like, I'm just watching this party on a screen, I'm immediately out.
Just put it on YouTube. I'll watch it from my room.
I didn't even want to come anyways, really. You know, I want to stay home in my PJs, and I got all dressed up to come here, and now I'm just watching you guys party? No.
I don't think you're the asshole. I have to assume your friend is not such a mega celebrity that her party deserves tiers of guests. That's crazy. Even if you are super popular, like, don't rank your friends.
And also, OP drove 3 hours and got a hotel to come to this party. I'm sure a lot of other people, lived in that town and did not invest so much time and money into this. And she couldn't even be bothered to put you on the good guest list, even though you spent all this time and money.
Yeah, usually that commute gets you a little bit of a VIP treatment. Do you think there's any aspect of friend thought that OP could take the insult because they've been together forever, so she'll forgive me?
Ooh, I don't know, but I think if that was the case, you would give her a heads up and be like, hey, I screwed up and I need you to help me fix this. Do you mind being like in the secondary room and like keeping everybody happy there and keeping the party going?
That's a good point. She should have looped her in if that was the case. Be like, hey, sorry, I need you to be queen of the losers for the day.
Like, at least let her know and then give her a job so she feels like she is important to your party, right? I feel like that would have gone a long way to saving this friendship.
Because she did really just decide you weren't worth attending her party. That's hurtful.
Top comment. I'm sorry, y'all are 30 and the mom is calling to shame you? Beyond nope.
To be fair, it sounds like OP has known this mom for a really long time.
OP replies, her mom is like a second mom to me. I think it was more like her wanting a heart-to-heart with me. And like, yeah, they've been friends since they were 8. I'm sure they are very well acquainted with each other's mothers.
Right, that's just another kid that's constantly at my house.
And then someone replied to OP's comment, in that case, I'd talk to her mom and ask her WTF had happened to your friend, because the friend you knew had class and actually cared about people.
That is true. It was OP's chance to tattle. There are times in your adult life where you just need to tattle, and this might have been one of them.
Another comment, NTA, you don't overbook a party. You book a venue that can accommodate everyone. WTF. And OP replied, yeah, that's a weird and risky approach to take. If the venue didn't have the extra room, do you just turn friends and family away? Like, yeah, what do you do?
I suppose that I would have to give people calls and be like, hey, I'm so sorry, you're uninvited. You didn't make the cut. I have a certain class of friends that I need to maintain, and your coolness levels have dropped below that threshold.
Someone says, she can fuck all the way off. Clearly, she cares more about your gift than you. You don't need a friend like this, NTA. And yeah, what's up with calling and being like, well, come to lunch and you can give me my gift?
I guess OP gives really good gifts.
It seems a little greedy.
A little bit, especially because you weren't invited to the party.
And then, you know, Reddit always has a petty response. NTA, send her a link to a stream of her present being unboxed so she can watch it whenever she wants.
That is petty and hilarious, and I love it. It is also driving that wedge deeper in between the two of you, so decide if that's what you want before you take that route, OP.
So Reddit is definitely saying not the asshole, but it sounds like Sally is OP's best friend, but OP is not Sally's best friend, which is a real shame when that happens in a friendship.
I mean, sometimes you do grow apart from your friends, but it's a real shame that it happened in such a,
brutal manner.
Yeah, it was not like a gentle drifting apart at all.
Yeah, Sally really let OP know what she thought of her with this one.
Am I the asshole for pretending to read a Reddit post to my wife to settle an argument?
Did he make a fake Reddit post to prove he was right? Because that sounds a little unhinged.
My wife and I recently bought her a car, and it's caused more tension than I expected. We had planned to stick to a budget and get a base Volkswagen Atlas. Those cars are all or nothing when it comes to features. The base is simple, and the higher trims have nearly everything. When we got to the lot, there was a fully loaded one sitting there. Nicer interior, better tech, all the upgrades. It seemed like the wiser choice, especially for the long term. Since I handle the finances in our household and I'm the one who earns the money, I made the decision to go with it. After we got home, she kept saying we should have gone with the base model. She has brought it up more than once and made it clear she thought I was wrong. A day or two later, after things had cooled down, I tried to explain my reasoning in a calmer way. I told her I had read a Reddit post about a couple in a similar situation and acted like I was reading it to her. I described a couple choosing between a base model and a fully loaded car and read comments, agreeing that going with the nicer option made sense if you plan to keep it for years.
This is so weird. I mean, you went into this agreeing to get the base model because it's cheaper and you want a budget-friendly option. And then you're like, nah, I want the fancy one. It's not even your car, first off. It's your wife's car. Which, I mean, yeah, maybe you feel like you're being nice and buying her an upgrade, but she didn't want the upgrade. She'd rather save the money. And now you're just making up comments on a Reddit post supporting you. Like, just pulling them out of thin air and be like, see, everyone agrees with me. This is like This is a little psychotic. I don't even know red flags. I do not, this is alarming. What kind of lying is going on here?
You don't even have a word to describe this.
No, it is so weird.
While I was reading, she asked to see some of the replies herself.
No, don't look at my phone. You can't look at it. Only I can read this Reddit post in the comments.
I said I would send it later, but she kept insisting and eventually took my phone.
Ooh, you got caught.
She saw there was no post, no comments. She asked me directly if I had made it up. I said it was something I had read before but could not pull up, but she kept pressing until I finally admitted I had put it together myself to explain my point.
The whole point of Reddit and coming to Reddit with these stories is to see if people agree with you, and he skipped that step. He's like, I'm sure everyone's going to agree with me. I'm just going to tell her everyone agreed with me.
If you go to enough subreddits, you're gonna find people who agree with you on any subject. He could have just made a post.
Yeah, but he needed it right now to prove his point, and he didn't have time to post it and then wait for people to read it and reply. He needed to prove his point right now because his wife is stupid.
The next day, she told her brother. He told her he thought it was actually a clever way to get her to be responsible, and that bringing in an outside perspective made sense.
He didn't bring in an outside perspective, though.
He did not at all.
No, like, if he had actually gone to Reddit, I'd been like, yeah, okay, this seems like a good way to, like, pull the general public's opinion. Well, maybe not the general public. This is Reddit. But to get an idea of what other people think, to bring more perspectives to this argument. But he didn't do that at all.
It's just him arguing with her in a different voice.
This is alarming behavior.
She came back from that conversation even angrier. She said it wasn't about being responsible, it was about honesty, and that I had tried to manipulate her instead of being upfront. Now she keeps focusing on the fact that I pretended to read a post and doubled down instead of just talking it through. She says it felt dishonest and manipulative, and that it changed how she sees the whole situation.
It changed how I see him. Like, yeah, that is super manipulative. I guess that is what I was going for when I was like, it's red flags. It's manipulative.
I think you were hunting for a stronger word.
It's weirdly manipulative.
From my point of view, I was trying to explain why I thought the decision made sense and bring some calm to the discussion, but she does not see it that way. Am I the asshole?
Yeah, you're the asshole. This is lying and manipulation and red flags. I can't. Why did she marry you? You're just terrible.
Maybe OP has a lot of other redeeming qualities, and I bet he can cite a lot of Reddit articles that support how good his qualities are.
Yeah, I would never trust anything he ever cited ever again.
It's just that you're burning all trust she's going to have in anything you say over something that's honestly it's not that big of a deal. Like, she's saying that she didn't want to spend that much money on the car, and you're saying that you did. You probably should have let her pick out her own car, but...
Yeah, I was like, first of all, it is a little bit of a red flag, too, that he went into this car buying situation with an agreement with her and then just unilaterally decided to override that and make his own decision. I did not like that. And then he is lying and manipulating to justify his behavior to her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he could have just said his reasoning calmly without lying about it. He could have just been like, hey, I want you to be comfortable. I always appreciate having the heated seats. I like having all these bells and whistles, and I thought it would make your driving experience more enjoyable. Instead, he made up a fake Reddit post and didn't even do it, well.
No, he didn't do it well at all. She immediately caught on and was like, show me the post. And he's like, no, don't look at my phone. It's mine.
All I can picture is him, putting on a hat and doing a different voice and pretending he's a different person while he's arguing. Excuse me, I have to go to the restroom, but my friend is going to come back and tell you what they think about the situation. Top comment, you're the asshole. You just want to be right so badly that you lie and manipulate. OP replied to that. I was just trying to put it outside of our perspective.
No, he was trying to put it in his perspective, but in different words and from seemingly a different viewpoint, but it wasn't a different viewpoint.
Somebody replied to OP, only you weren't, because no such outside perspective exists. You were trying to pretend there was consensus with your opinion from outside. That's not the same. My outside perspective on the whole thing is that the decision to purchase a more expensive car than you initially agreed upon was not a decision you should have made alone. I don't care who the breadwinner is. You are pretty much going to lose my sympathy immediately if you use that as a reason for why your opinion matters more than hers. Your money is jointly owned and should be therefore jointly managed. It's a decision you have made together as to who makes the money and who takes in other responsibilities. She has no less input on which car to buy. You can read her my comment. OP replied to that. I get what you're saying, and I understand why it looks manipulative. But I want to clarify, I wasn't trying to trick her for personal gain. I genuinely thought showing her what I presented as other opinions would help her see my reasoning without another argument. I do handle the finances, and I make the money in our household. That doesn't mean her input doesn't matter. But in big financial decisions like this, it felt appropriate for me to weigh the long-term perspective heavily. The fully loaded Atlas is expensive, yes, but it's also a better value over time than the base model. I see now that pretending the post existed was not ideal, but my goal was never to manipulate her. It was to present the decision in a way that would make sense to her. I still think the choice to go with the nicer model was the right one, and I think if we step back from the argument, she might see that too.
So he wanted to weigh the long-term perspective. He should have done that with his wife and included her in the decision and laid out his reasons why he wanted to do this before he just went and did it. Why is he having such a hard time getting this?
Yeah, because you can very easily present the long-term benefits to your partner without saying other people online agree with me.
Yeah, like, they're fighting about this now after the fact. They should have just discussed it before and come to an agreement then. And then they wouldn't be fighting now.
Well, it sounds like they might have discussed it before because she decided she wanted the base model in her car. Or she went into the dealership assuming they were getting the base model at least.
Well, he went into the dealership assuming they were getting the base model too. And then he got there and he's like, look at how fancy this is. I want it. You know, long term, this is really a good idea. I don't think he weighed the pros and cons very well or for very long.
Do you think he got upsold by a car salesman?
Oh, yeah. I think definitely he did. And then he's like, this one is here on the lot. We can take it home today.
They can be persuasive because you can't buy the damn car because they keep talking to you about buying a more expensive one.
Anyways, I think if he truly wanted to weigh the long-term pros and cons of buying a base versus souped-up model, that's something you go home and think about. But no, I think you're right. I think he got upsold by a car salesman. I actually kind of wonder if he's having regrets for being tricked by a car salesman into buying the more expensive model. And now he's like trying to justify it to himself and convince himself that it was a good idea too. And that's why he's trying so hard to convince his wife it was a good idea. Because if she agrees with him, then it's all okay.
I don't know. I think he legitimately thinks that they needed all the bells and whistles on this car. Another comment. Am I the asshole for lying to my wife and making her feel stupid for being upset that she did not get to buy the car she wanted because I wanted another one? There, fixed it for you, bud. Edit, if it wasn't clear, you're the asshole. OP replied to that one.
Oh, goodness.
Because OP apparently replied to all of them. Her brother agreed that it was a good way to make it emotionally distant.
I think you need another woman's perspective on this then, because this seems like a bro thing, and you and the brother are like, I don't know. It seems weird to me.
It's super weird. Somebody replied to OP, I would love for you to explain to me how it becomes emotionally distant when you create a story that backs up your perspective so that your wife sees your point and gets manipulated into agreeing with you. It's just crazy to me that not only did he think this was a good idea, but he found somebody else who also thinks this is a good idea.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
You're the asshole. This is manipulative and childish. You treat your wife with disrespect by making financial choices unilaterally against her own concerns, and then lie to get her to shut up and agree with you. I bet you'll fake read her responses to this post that agree with you too. OP replied, all I wanted was for her to understand where I'm coming from, without it being on my side. She even agreed with the post I made up. Somebody replied to that, yes, it's almost as if you convinced her that your way of thinking was superior by falsifying Reddit posts.
Yeah, he's falsifying data.
Yeah, OP just came back a few days later and is like, actually, 9 out of 10 dentists say you should buy this car instead.
And guess what? No dentists say that. He's making it up. This is bad.
You're the asshole. You lied to your wife and gaslit her. Do Do you plan on showing her these responses? Probably not, because that doesn't put you in a pretty light. You need to respond to your wife. You have two different beliefs when it comes to cars. So do my husband and I. He prefers the base model. I like the luxury upgrades. Guess what? His car is base, mine is not. There was no argument. We either could afford it or not, and that was the end. The person got what they wanted. Now apologize to your wife for being a jerk. OP replied, the VW is like a cardboard box on the SE trim. It loses so much, though. What if my truck is in the shop and I have to drive it?
But it's your wife's car. She's doing you a favor by letting you drive it. Even if you don't like what she picked, you shut up and say thank you for letting me borrow your car. I was like, do you want your wife, who is driving it 99% of the time, to be happy with it, or you, who drives it 1% of the time, to be happy with it? It seems like he wants him to be happy that 1% of the time he has to drive it, which is so selfish.
That's what Reddit thinks too, because all of the responses to that are along the lines of this one. So your wishes matter more than hers on the off chance you have to drive it. Wow, I'm mind blowing at your selfishness, you're the asshole. So I think it's pretty clear, Reddit is not on this man's side. And they think that he's the asshole in this situation, and he really should have let his wife get the car that she wanted.
And then not lied about a Reddit post he read about it.
Yeah, don't falsify data.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, go ahead and do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it really helps us out, and it lets us know we should keep making fun content like this for you.
Am I the asshole for eating meat from our deep freezer?
I mean, I guess it's your food. You can eat it if you want.
My husband's friend stored a whole deer in our deep freezer.
Oh, okay, it's not your food then.
By this I mean he has different cuts of meat adding up to a whole deer. He has ribs, chops, steak, ground meat, and the like. He didn't have room in his house, so he's using our deep freezer. All the meat is nicely vacuum sealed and labeled.
Sorry, why did he go and hunt a deer if he doesn't have room to store it?
Well, he wants a deer, but he doesn't want to buy a deep freezer.
They're not that expensive.
It's one of the first things we bought when we got our first house.
Yeah, it's really nice to have one because you can shop the sales.
Every time he comes to our house, which is once a month or so, I ask him if he wants to take some meat home with him. And he says, no, maybe next time. He's been saying this for 2 years.
Is the meat still good? I mean, I know it lasts like indefinitely in a deep freezer, but freezer burn is still a thing. It is nicely vacuum sealed, so it probably has a very, very long shelf life.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be safe to eat for a really long time, but you know it's just not going to taste as good as if you had eaten it sooner.
Yeah, also, storing something in someone else's house for 2 years is crazy.
So we've had the meat in our freezer for 2, going on 3 years. A few times I've taken out some of the meat and made myself a meal out of it. My husband says I shouldn't do that, but I argue it's basically our meat now. I'd rather eat it now than let it go bad. I'm not going to remind our friend that he has meat in our freezer anymore because that meat is now mine. Am I the asshole for eating meat in our freezer that my husband's friend stored there?
After 2 years, I'm sure there's some sort of abandoned property form you could fill out down at City Hall.
The only thing that makes me think she might be the asshole, 2 years is a long time. He needs to take his meat. But I might give him a heads up. Hey, if you do not get this meat out of here in the next week, I'm going to start eating some of it.
I mean, that might be fair because he did keep it in your freezer for an unreasonable amount of time, but give him the heads up of like, hey, time's up, get rid of it. But also, I don't know if he'll even notice that you ate some of it. You really think he remembers how big of a deer he got?
In 5 years, he's going to come back and be like, I need all that deer meat I'm storing here, and then be so mad that you ate it all.
We had a power outage, bro. It's gone.
Top comment thinks that she should tell him, hey, Ralph, we actually need some of that freezer space back. Please take at least 10 pounds of it with you next time you come over. Thanks so much.
I'd say ask him to take back more than 10 pounds because that's...
Yeah, do you know how big deers are? She's going to have to do this for months more to get him to take all this meat with him.
Because that is your freezer space. You're paying electricity to keep this meat frozen for him. He's got to have most of your deep freezer filled with this deer.
Someone replied to that comment, yeah, the issue here is offering it as a choice. Gotta approach it like dealing with a little kid. Do you want to get it yourself or do you need my help? You have options. Continuing to use my freezer isn't one of them. Someone replied to that, absolutely. Every time he's over, just hand him a bunch as he leaves and either he takes it or it goes in the bin. And then someone said, you misspelled stew pot. Don't throw it away. Eat it.
Yeah, I just don't know why he's out there hunting a deer and then having nowhere to put it. Like,
and no desire to eat it, apparently.
Yeah, he's not even like, hey, I hunted a deer. Would you like some of the meat? He's just, it's all his.
Because your parents have a friend who do that, and that's nice.
Yeah, one of my cousins and one of their friends will sometimes bring them some venison. And it's very nice, but they aren't storing any of that person's venison for them.
It sounds like this person likes to hunt, but doesn't actually want to eat the deer and doesn't know what to do with it. So they're just like, you hold on to it for me.
Yeah.
At that point, just give it away.
Yeah, I have to assume that they're a hunter or they know a hunter, because when you hit a deer with your car, you generally don't know how to process it unless you've hunted before.
Yeah, my uncle hit a deer with a car twice and was very excited that, his car was totaled, but yay, free deer meat.
Yeah, in the country, we all have at least one friend or family member that we can call up when we inevitably hit a deer and be like, hey, can you come and clean this thing for me? Because it's dead. And so is my car. They do so much damage.
Another comment, NTA, at this point, it's abandoned property. I would give him a last warning, and if it isn't collected, it will be eaten. Then you're totally in the clear if you eat it. That's what I said. You just need to give him a warning, like, dude, get it out of here now or I'm eating it.
Yeah, I think the warning would be polite, but I also assume that he does not have such a detailed list of what he has in your freezer that he'll notice that you've eaten some of to this point.
But if she continues eating some of it, it's eventually all going to be gone, because he's not coming to get it before she finishes the deer.
Yeah, he's definitely not. And if he comes back in another 2 years and asks for that venison, I think you go with the route of, hey, sorry, we had a power outage. It's all gone.
Had to throw all the meat away. It was not safe to eat.
Yep. Yeah, freezer went bad. We didn't notice. It was too late.
Someone says, it's not abandoned yet, and OP has already eaten some of it. And the main problem here is that OP has not communicated any of her issues to the friend, and her husband doesn't seem to care. The friend has done nothing but use their freezer with their explicit permission.
That is a good point. He does technically have their permission to keep it in there. They haven't said, hey, no, it's got to get out of here. It's been too long.
Yeah, they're always like, do you want to take some? And he's like, no, not this time, maybe next time. And they haven't told him, hey, we need this freezer space back. So he thinks it's all okay and hunky-dory. I can't believe I just said hunky-dory.
I can, but yeah, you probably should bring it up with him before you just start horking down the rest of the meat.
If I left anything at another person's home for over a year, I would expect it to become the property of the household. Bon appetit. Someone else says, that's generous. I'd maybe give them a month to store, then I'd have them take it all or charge them interest in the form of grabbing a piece of meat for my own consumption once a week. Squatter's rights is 8 hours if it's in fridge space.
Yeah, I feel like there is an unspoken contract when you borrow somebody's freezer space like that. You're either going to go and get your own deep freezer, even if you already own one, you're going to buy a second because apparently you need two, and you're going to move it into your new deep freezer, or you're going to be working at clearing out space in your own freezer over the next month or so, to move that meat into your deep freezer. Either way, he should be making an effort. That's just polite.
Okay, and then it is Reddit, so we're going to get a little dark. Are you sure it's a deer? This thing happened to a couple when their friend kept meat in a freezer at their place, and it turned out he was using it to store a body.
I certainly hope that is just an urban legend. But also, I certainly hope that OP can tell the difference between venison and other types of meat.
And then this might be my favorite. Someone said, have you tried having a direct conversation with the person? And someone replied, sir, this is Reddit.
Yeah, we do not have reasonable conversations here. We go and ask strangers on the internet for advice. Am I the asshole for asking a woman at work to stop being so weird about taking a caramel?
How does one weirdly take a caramel? I'm concerned.
She just goes full salad fingers.
She's like Gollum. My precious!
I like to have snacks in my office, and I enjoy having something for people to take when they come in for a visit. I have a container of chocolate caramel thins open for anyone to take. The problem is that when many of the other women in my office take one, they do this whole song and dance. Ooh, I shouldn't. Ooh, it's so bad. Ooh, but I just love chocolate. Ooh, it's so naughty.
Yeah, I don't like ladies who are constantly on a diet and let everyone know they're on a diet and they shouldn't be eating this because it's so bad, but it's so delicious and they can't resist. I'm like, dude, just eat it.
I guess it just does not bother me, though, to any extent. Like, you'll get there eventually. Stuff like this just annoys the crap out of me. Take a candy or don't, but don't force me to participate in whatever weird self-deprecating thing you're doing. Especially calling it naughty, like you're scolding a child. I always just smile blankly and they will look at me like I'm supposed to give them permission.
Yeah, I don't care if you're on a diet, but I don't want to hear about it because I'm not on a diet and I don't want to think about being on a diet even though I should probably be on a diet.
Yeah, but also this just feels like almost a staged song and dance that everybody knows.
And that makes me mad too. Why do women have to feel guilty about eating delicious things? Because diet culture is such a huge part of our lives. I don't like it. I want to eat all the junk food and I don't care if I'm skinny. Eating junk food makes me so much happier than being skinny makes me.
I finally had it yesterday when one of the women stood in my doorway and pointed and was like, "Ooh, I love those caramels. They're so good, but I shouldn't. You're so bad for having these."
Okay, don't tell me I'm bad for having them. I'm doing a nice thing by providing candy for anybody who wants it.
I said, "Can you stop doing that? It's making me uncomfortable." She pretended not to know what I was talking about. I said, "Are you okay? You come in here and you act like you need my permission to eat a piece of candy. You keep calling it naughty like you're a little kid. It's super weird behavior and makes me feel uncomfortable, so please stop." She gave me a weird look and said she was just being silly and never mind. She left. I found out later on that she said I ripped her head off and warned one of the other women who's always doing all the, "Ooh, I'm so bad" crap to avoid getting candy from me unless she wants to be scolded.
Okay, so OP was maybe not the most polite, but then coworker going around and telling everybody that OP bit her head off is also not very cool.
Yeah, I guess so, but it kind of sounds to me like maybe OP went from 0 to 100 right there.
Yeah, like this has been gnawing at them and they haven't been saying anything about it and it's just been building and building and all of a sudden they're like, "Stop it!"
Yeah. None of the other women in the office realized that it bothered OP at all because they just do a polite blank smile.
Question, if this bothers OP so much, why do they leave chocolates out on their desk? You know, just don't leave chocolates out on your desk and you wouldn't have to deal with all these women doing this little song and dance for you.
I'm not going to stop having candy out because there are some people who can do it without the whole song and dance. But am I really the asshole for just asking her to stop doing that? "Ooh, I'm so bad. Ooh, crap."
I don't know. This is tough. Like, I get why they're annoyed by this, but I also feel like the polite person in me would just never say anything about anyone to it.
I'm going to be honest with you. The part of me that is very antisocial and doesn't want to talk to people really appreciates having a little script to work off so that it still counts as socializing without any effort.
That is true. Like, there is a scripted small talk that you can do that doesn't actually require any brain power or thought.
None. It requires none. I just push the bowl a little closer, be like, "It's okay. Take one. Take 3. It's fine." That's all. That's the whole interaction. Then they take one, and you're both happy that you interacted a little. That's my opinion on it. But I guess if it bothers OP, maybe you could have just said, "Can we not do the little song and dance," instead of 5 sentences about it.
I don't know. I also feel like the petty person in me, as soon as they're like, "You're so bad for having these," I'd be like, "Fine," and take them and shove them in my drawer and be like, "I don't have them anymore." And also, if I really hated this, I would keep track of who in the office was annoying about it and who was polite and just took their candy. And I would only bring out my candy bowl when the nice people stepped into my office and I'd be like, "Here, would you like a caramel?" Only the not annoying people get candy treats. And then when the annoying ladies come and complain and are like, "Why don't you ever offer me chocolate?" "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were on a diet and I didn't want to tempt you."
Apparently this bothers you a lot more than it bothers me because, I don't know, you can do whatever song and dance you want before you take the damn candy. I've already checked out.
I don't know if it actually would bother me, but since it does bother OP, I'm trying to think about if this did bother me, what would I do?
Ah, okay.
But also at the same time, I don't care if you're on a diet. I just don't want to hear about it 24/7.
I mean, that's fair. And in OP's defense, maybe they are far more annoying with the song and dance than like my previous coworkers, because usually the dance only lasts like one line. Like, ooh, I shouldn't, as they're taking one out. If they're really drawing it out, I could see it getting annoying.
Yeah, and if it's repeatedly every day, I don't know. At some point, I'm like, I know you're going to take one. Just take it.
So, Reddit's overall opinion is not the asshole, but apparently there were enough people saying you're the asshole that OP made an edit saying, okay, I am clearly the asshole.
Maybe like initially in the first 24 hours, the opinion was you're the asshole. And then as more people weighed in, it shifted to not the asshole as time went on.
That's possible, but let's read some comments before we get to the edit.
Okay.
Top comment, not the asshole. Might I suggest adding, this candy is freely offered and morally neutral. Eating it does not make you a good or bad person.
It will make you a skinny or fat person, though, which in this society equates good or bad.
Somebody replied to that, only good candies here. There are no naughty caramels. Not the asshole. All naughty candies have been summarily masticated.
I'll eat all the naughty caramels.
Another person's commented, diet culture, internalized fat phobia, and fear of food. They're basically saying out loud that they feel guilty for eating because that's what they have learned to do. They want the thing, but they have to let other people know that they know they are being a bad person. I guess a way to soothe the guilt. Are they older ladies? Try not to judge them too hard. I know it's annoying. Maybe just say you don't like talk like that around you because you think that mindset is damaging, and you would prefer it if they just took them without any commentary.
Yeah, I do feel like ladies that grew up in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s have a way more negative view on their body image than people who grew up a little later. Like, body positivity is a thing now. That was not a thing when we were growing up.
No, I think that got invented around 2008 because I don't think I heard the phrase widely used until we were in college. Another comment. I mean, everyone sucks here. Yes, they're super annoying. The blank stare was A-okay. That should have got the point across. But yeah, if it makes you so uncomfortable to have to berate a coworker, don't have candies at your desk. Seriously. People keep candy at their desk to invite interactions that you don't seem to like.
Yeah, that's just the thing I'm getting caught on. I feel like OP could have been a lot more polite about communicating their dislike over this.
And then on to OP's edit. Edit. Okay, I am clearly the asshole. I will take the caramels home with me today so I don't have to put up with this gross self-deprecating humor thing anymore. I thought I was doing a nice thing, but I can't deal with the drama from the people with body image issues. I don't think it's fair they bring that into my office, so I'll just take them home.
That's what I said. You really don't like this, so just don't offer caramels to your coworkers.
Yeah, because I think if you put a candy bowl out, I just expect a couple people in the office to do this little I shouldn't dance.
But it makes me mad that people feel they have to do the I shouldn't dance. People should be allowed to freely enjoy chocolate.
And if OP had replied like that, instead of what was honestly kind of a rude response, maybe they wouldn't be the asshole. Or even part of an everyone sucks here.
Am I the asshole for yelling at my girlfriend because she didn't let me use the trash can after she cleaned the house?
She just cleaned that thing, and you're going to throw garbage in it? What is wrong with you?
For some context, my girlfriend is absolutely obsessed with the house being clean, and she spends a lot of time cleaning the house. I respect that after everything is clean, I will try to keep things as clean as possible for as long as possible. But when I wanted to use the trash can, she said she wanted to enjoy her trash can for a day and is expecting that it should be empty until at least tomorrow. Doesn't that defeat the point of what a trash can is for? We live in an apartment and she expected me to throw it away in the trash room outside. We had a big argument over this, wanted to see what others think.
Sorry, what kind of horrible things is OP doing to that poor trash can? Is OP just destroying that poor thing, like throwing old chili at it from across the room?
It's weird that you went in that direction. I thought girlfriend just wanted a perfectly pristine, empty trash can for a day.
That's what I think too. I just think it would be far funnier if OP was just like the embodiment of chaos and dirt. Just like the type of person who yells Kobe and then hucks whatever they're holding at the trash can and is a terrible shot.
Even if it's a bowl of soup.
Yeah, a bowl of soup, a bowl of ketchup. I don't know why OP has a bowl of ketchup, but they have it and they're throwing it at that trash can. That's what I want, is what I'm getting at.
Okay, but in a normal person relationship. Is OP the asshole for wanting to throw things away in his own trash can, even though his girlfriend just cleaned and emptied the trash?
No, OP is not the asshole. I'm sorry that you don't get to enjoy your clean trash can for longer. That's how trash cans work. Just be glad they're not setting it on the kitchen counter and walking away.
I was like, yeah, because she won't let him throw things away in it. I was like, what does she want him to do? Just pile it on the counter until he's allowed to use the trash can? But then no, apparently she expects him to walk out of the apartment down the hallway to the trash room and throw it away in there.
Yeah, I don't think OP wants to walk however far it is to the trash room to throw their candy wrapper into a dumpster. Also, I think the people who have to empty that dumpster appreciate it if the trash is in a bag so it doesn't go fluttering away when they, tilt it into the truck.
She wants to enjoy her empty trash can till tomorrow. I don't know what time of day it was, but how are you not supposed to make any trash for a whole day? We literally fill up our trash can every day and have to take it out every day. And there's just 2 of us. That's what I'm saying. I was like, she's going to have to take this trash out every day. What do you mean enjoy the empty trash can for a day? I make a whole garbage can's worth of trash every day.
I mean, we don't, but still, we do produce some amount of trash every day. That's just life. It's not that weird to have to put something in your trash can. I'm sorry that you've managed to just scrub down your trash can and it looks all pristine. Maybe OP should just make an effort to get all of the trash into the bag and not get any, grease or anything on the lid of the trash can. I hope they have a trash can that has like an opening and closing lid, because that would probably help girlfriend a lot if she couldn't see the trash inside of it.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. If the trash can closes, you can't see if there's trash in there or not, so how would she even know?
Exactly. You can just enjoy the outside. It's perfect.
NTA, she needs therapy. That's OCD level cleanliness, and humans can't live like that. Someone replied, saying it in the gentlest way I can, cleaning freaks and extremely messy people need to only couple with their peers. It seems like a silly little thing, but compatible level of cleanliness expectations are one of the most important things for a happy co-living.
Yeah, I imagine that is one of the main reasons couples have arguments. Just like, why did you put that dish on the counter? You could have loaded it straight into the dishwasher. It's just little things that add up over time,
OP has a small edit. For those of you asking, I was throwing away a small takeout box with no food left. But no, he has to walk that out to the trash room in the apartment complex.
Maybe OP should have washed the takeout box before he tried to throw it away.
Now we're getting ridiculous.
I don't know. There's got to be a solution where he doesn't have to walk all the way down to the dumpster.
NTA, that's a ridiculous request on her part, but I hope you didn't actually yell at her about it. Speaking civilly is important as well. I feel like he probably didn't actually yell at her about this, but OP is like me, where I say, Josh yelled at me, when I really mean Josh gave me a disapproving look and talked at me slightly sternly and was like, are you serious? No, and I go and tell my mom, Josh yelled at me because I didn't take the trash out. You didn't yell at all. You never yell. But I don't know how that made it into my vernacular language, that talking sternly and having a disagreement is just yelling.
Oh, I know exactly how it got into your vocabulary. It's because in your family, nobody yells. Your family's version of yelling is talking really quietly and making...
Very serious.
Yeah, you need to speak softly so that child has to focus in on you and realize that they are in so much trouble because mom's using the quiet voice.
Yeah, you were in trouble when mom pulled you aside and used the quiet voice to scold you. You say no one in my family yells, and that really is true. The only time anyone yells is my dad when he is doing plumbing work.
He absolutely yells loud when he's doing plumbing work because he was downstairs in the basement one time when we were dating, and he said, nobody used the plumbing. I'm going to take this pipe apart. And your mom went into the bathroom and washed her hands. And all I heard was a swear and her name. And I got up and I closed your bedroom door. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with that.
It's the only time he swears, too.
We had been dating for like 6 months and you had to run into work. So I was just waiting in your bedroom, like reading a book. And I'm like, okay.
Not dealing with that.
Yeah, nope, not gonna get involved. And in his defense, Plumbing deserves a lot of yelling when you're working on it.
Yeah, my dad is amazing at fixing everything except plumbing.
I mean, his plumbing works in the end. It just needs
It's a challenge getting there for him, though.
I think everybody who's done plumbing agrees. Sometimes you have to swear that pipe into place.
Okay, we've gotten a little off topic, so back to the story. So he says that he yelled at his girlfriend for not letting him use the trash can. I feel like he probably didn't. He was just like, "Are you serious?" Which, in my opinion, not the asshole for that. If he did actually yell, then yes, probably the asshole. But I really don't think that's what he did.
I must have missed something. When did he say that he yelled? Or did girlfriend say that he yelled?
Yeah, I'm looking back and he never says he yelled. And someone else in the comments mentions that. Did they say something about yelling before editing the post, or did you assume that from the big argument part? Because if they said it themselves, yeah, that's an asshole thing.
Oh, okay. So there was a big argument, which maybe in that person's head implies yelling.
Oh, no. And then someone else points out we're just dumb and can't read. Yelling is in the title of the post. Am I the asshole for yelling at my girlfriend because she didn't let me use the trash can after she cleaned the house?
Oh, I don't pay attention when the title gets read.
Someone else agrees. I read the post multiple times over to see what I missed and somehow missed the title. Thanks.
That's funny. Yeah, okay. So there was yelling involved. Maybe the asshole for yelling instead of talking about it then.
But not the asshole for wanting to use a trash can and not walk out to the dumpster every time you want to throw something away.
All right, I'm going to attempt to read this next one in the same way that OP wrote it, which is one run-on sentence with no punctuation.
Oh my goodness, good luck with that.
Today I effed up. I tried to look productive at work and accidentally exposed that I've been doing absolutely nothing for weeks.
Oh no.
So my supervisor shows up out of nowhere last night, and I swear I felt my brain just short out. Like, I don't even remember exactly what I was watching on my phone, some dumb YouTube video about Elden Ring builds or whatever. But I just shoved it in my pocket and grabbed the nearest clipboard, like that was gonna magically turn me into an employee of the month or something. And I walked fast, like way too fast, through aisles, pretending I'm busy, nodding at boxes like, yeah, this one is definitely a box. Good job, everyone. And then, of course, he notices me because I'm acting like a lunatic, and he comes up and is like, what are you working on? And instead of saying literally anything normal, I go, yeah, just verifying discrepancies in Section C. I don't even know why I said Section C. We don't even label stuff like that, I'm pretty sure. And he pauses, like I just told him the sky is green, and goes, which discrepancies? And I kind of freeze, but also not really. I just start talking and saying, the delayed ones?
They're really bad at improvising.
Like that means anything. And now I'm stuck because he says show me. So now I'm leading this guy deeper into the warehouse like I have a plan, when I absolutely do not. I'm just picking a direction and hoping something will appear. And I stop at this random shelf and start pointing at boxes, and he's scanning them and goes, everything here is fine. And I panic and go, yeah, that's what's weird. Which in my head sounded smart, but out loud just sounded insane. And then he asks, who assigned me this? And I say night manager, which immediately felt wrong as soon as it left my mouth, because we literally don't have one.
He thinks you're insane.
Like, why did I think that would work? And he just looks at me like not even mad, just tired, and takes the clipboard. And it's literally blank paper. Like I didn't even check first. Just empty sheets that I'm cosplaying work. And he sighs and asks what I actually do, and I just kind of shrug and go, honestly, not much after midnight, because at this point, what am I even saying? So now I have this meeting about role clarity, and in my opinion, that's just corporate for we caught you doing nothing, and now we have to pretend this is a process thing. Too long didn't read, to be honest. I feel like if I had just sat behind the boxes like usual and ate my off-brand Pringles, none of this would have happened, but no. I had to try and be productive for 5 minutes and completely screw myself. I think this is partly his fault for caring too much, lol. I don't know, man. I'm probably done here.
Yeah, you might be getting fired. Because not only are you, like, lazy and not doing much, but you're being weird about it.
Just running through the warehouse with a clipboard.
A blank clipboard. Yep, checking discrepancies in Section C.
It's weird that these boxes are here in the warehouse, don't you think, manager?
Exactly where they're supposed to be. This is wrong. And an imaginary night manager told me to check on these.
It's just...
They're so bad at improv!
Yeah, hope he does not have a good panic response, do they?
No! Like, if they had just sat there eating their off-brand Pringles and manager walked by and be like, what are you doing? Being like, I am on my break, and just keep eating your Pringles.
I am on my break every time this manager sees you. He can't disprove it.
Okay, well, every time might be a bit much, but better than this panic response.
I feel like OP needed to build like a little fort inside of the boxes at the back of a shelf.
To hide in?
Yeah, to hide in.
Everybody has a secret hiding place at their work where they go to hide when they don't want to actually do work.
Yeah, and OP should have gotten one. They work in a warehouse. I'm sure they could shift a couple pallets or something and make a hidey hole. Top comment. Normally, I'm annoyed by run-on sentences, but in this case, it really set the mood for the story, and I enjoyed it. Well done. Which is why I felt like I needed to read that one, like somebody who was panicking.
Yeah, it did make the story better.
OP replied, not gonna lie, I was just panic typing it out, but yeah, it kind of fits the chaos. LOL, appreciate it. So OP is still panicking.
Yeah, because they got a meeting tomorrow about role clarity. I don't know if they want to be like, what are you actually doing? Or be like, hey, checking discrepancies is not your job. Stop being weird and trying to do it.
I assume that's corporate speak for, hey, this is your job over here. Can
Maybe
you start
should
doing
be
it?
doing this?
Yeah. Another comment. Maybe you actually impress the hell out of him and you'll get that sought after transfer to Section C.
That doesn't exist.
OP replied, LMAO, yeah, gonna get promoted to head of imaginary logistics in Section C. Finally made it big. Somebody else commented, what happened to grabbing a broom and sweeping to look busy? Why are you failing to pretend to look like you have a job? Don't you have things you're expected to do normally? Why would you fail so miserably to sound like you know what's supposed to happen at your job?
Yeah, like, presumably they do this job all the time. They should know what normal actions for this job are, and they just went off the rails.
Well, it sounds like after midnight, the night manager that doesn't exist takes over, and OP no longer has any responsibilities, and they've just been enjoying that fact up to that point. But yeah, traditionally, a broom is the way to pretend to look busy.
Straightening the boxes on the shelves. Come on.
OP replied, damn bro, conducting a full investigation on my employment history, lol. I usually have stuff early in the shift. It just dies after midnight and my brain checked out hard. Somebody else comments, to be fair, I've worked a number of jobs where my job was make sure things aren't breaking. And if things do break, then work like hell to make it so customers don't notice and be ready to take the blame if they do. Most days were light work, and then sometimes shit hits the fan, and it was long hours of constant investigative work, report, repeat cycles. I wasn't being paid to work 40 hours a week. I was being paid to be available 40 hours a week in case something went wrong, and to find ways to explain technical things to non-technical people. OP replied, yeah, fair, lol. I kind of speed ran the get caught doing nothing achievement, not gonna lie, not my brightest moment. By the way, I want to point out OP still is not using any punctuation in any of these replies.
They're still panicking.
I have to agree with OP, though. They really did kind of F up.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Grab a broom next time. That is the tried and true method.
Am I wrong for getting a server in huge trouble after he made me wait for almost an hour and lied to my face?
I mean, once they've made you wait an hour and lied to you, they're kind of getting themselves in trouble, but let's hear the story first.
I, 28 female, feel incredibly guilty right now, but my husband says I was completely justified. I just need outside opinions because this is eating me up inside. Yesterday, I had a super stressful morning at work. I only get exactly 1 hour for my lunch break, so I went to a quiet cafe near my office. It was not even busy. Maybe 3 other tables had people. I ordered my favorite chicken salad and a nice coffee. 20 minutes go by, I get my coffee, but no food. I catch the server's eye and politely ask if my salad is almost ready. He smiles and says, it's coming right up. The kitchen is just a little backed up. I say, okay, no problem. I get it. Things happen. Another 20 minutes pass. I notice that a couple who came in way after me are already eating hot burgers and fries. My lunch break is slipping away and I'm literally starving. I flag the server down again. He looks super annoyed this time, rolls his eyes slightly and says, ma'am, I already told you, it's coming.
Okay, does he not have a good sense of time? Because when I worked in customer service, if something's 40 minutes late, I think I'm going to walk back to the kitchen and find out what's wrong.
At the 50-minute mark, I realize I have to go back to the office right now. I have not eaten a single bite of food. I walk up to the front counter just to pay for my coffee so I can leave. The manager happens to be ringing me up and asks how everything was. I honestly just snapped. I did not scream or make a scene, but I was shaking. I was so mad. I coldly told her that I waited 50 minutes for a bowl of lettuce while her server continuously lied to my face about the kitchen being backed up.
I mean, I might be mad too, and props to OP for not yelling.
The manager looks totally confused. She checks the computer system and turns pale. It turns out he never put my order in. He completely forgot. Instead of just apologizing and fixing it when I asked the first time, he lied to cover it up, probably hoping I would not notice.
How would you not notice? What was the end game there?
You quietly leave without making a scene.
Or pain?
Apparently. The manager called him over immediately and absolutely ripped him a new one right there behind the counter. The server looked like he was about to cry. He started apologizing frantically, saying he was just having a really bad day and was distracted by personal stuff. The manager gave me my coffee for free, but I just walked out because it was so awkward. When I got back to work, I told my coworker what happened. I thought she'd have my back, but she completely turned on me and said I was acting incredibly entitled. She said service workers are severely underpaid and stressed, and that I might have just cost a struggling guy his job over a stupid salad. She said I should have just left quietly instead of complaining to management. Now I feel sick to my stomach thinking I might have gotten him fired just because I was cranky and hungry, but the lying really, really got to me. Am I ethically in the wrong here?
No, you're not in the wrong. He lied to you for 50 minutes of your lunch break. You were honestly fairly polite about the fact that he was just gaslighting you about a salad of all things. I don't care if you've had a bad day. Everyone has bad days at work.
But your one job as a server is to serve people food.
Well, not your one job.
Well, your main job.
The main job, yes, is to get them their food. You probably have to do some cleaning and stuff on the side, but it sounds like they weren't even that busy. And when she reminded you at the 20-minute mark, the solution was to go and type it into the computer and not be like, hey, the kitchen's really backed up. What? It just makes no sense because it sounds like this was destined to fail.
Like he never even tried to correct it once he realized he made a mistake.
Yeah, the kitchen is backed up is every server's go-to excuse. And then you go figure out what the problem is after you've said the kitchen is backed up.
Top comment, you are not wrong. Mistakes happen, but looking you in the eye and lying about it multiple times is wild. If he had just said, I'm so sorry, I forgot to put it in at the 20-minute mark, it would have been fixed. The lying is the problem here, not you.
Right. OP sounds like a reasonable enough person that if he had just said, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to put it in, she probably would have been like okay with that. If he rushed the salad out to her, it's a salad. They're mostly made. This was just a cafe?
Yeah.
Yeah, at cafes, like they're not chopping the lettuce and stuff to order. They've got salad and they've got the ingredients and they kind of assemble it. They might have to grill some chicken or something.
Someone replied to that comment. He could have even just kept BSing you and put in a rush order and brought it out with time to spare. It's a chicken salad, not a souffle.
Yeah, it's a chicken salad at a little cafe. A lot of their food just has to go into like the oven to be reheated.
And then OP replies to those comments. If he had just told me the truth at the 20-minute mark, I could have just ordered a pre-made pastry or something and made it back to work on time. It was the lying straight to my face while my lunch break was ticking away that pushed me over the edge.
Yeah, there's no reason to lie to somebody about that, especially when it's just doomed to fail. I think I keep saying that, but I just can't understand lying when no matter how good you lie, the end result is going to be there's no damn salad.
As someone who has worked exclusively in restaurants for decades, you're not wrong. As someone who has totally forgotten to enter someone's order, you're not wrong. All he had to do was tell you and his manager what happened, and it would have been fine. The times I've been stressed at work about personal stuff and shit has happened like this, guess what? All it takes is a sincere apology, and nobody actually gives a shit. Your server was silly for thinking he could pretend it didn't happen.
Do we know what OP's job is?
Just that it's in an office and she has a strict 1-hour limit on lunch.
Okay, because all the offices I've worked in, you could come back from lunch with a salad and eat it at your desk while you're working and no one would say a single word to you. Maybe she's more public facing than that, but I don't know. It sounds like if they had just gotten you the salad, there would have been no problem. So the other guy was being kind of an asshole to you.
Guy was incompetent, rude, and got what he deserved. It's a service industry. If he can't serve decently, he needs to work elsewhere. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm like, he is really bad at this job. I don't know if he deserves to keep it. Maybe if this is like a one-time first offense, like as a manager, you might let it slide. But if this is how he always is, you need to let the manager know so that she can decide if she needs to keep him around or get rid of him because he's so awful.
I mean, considering how hard it is to like find employees at service industry jobs right now, he probably gets a few strikes. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was actually having a bad day and he just needs to go home and not drag the rest of the business down and he come back a little later. Either way, OP is not the asshole for honestly politely telling the manager what happened.
One last comment. You reminded him twice and he gave you an attitude instead of checking on your order. I think you were justified. I doubt you cost him his job unless he has done this more than once.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't think that this is a job-ending thing unless it's a distinct pattern with him.
So Reddit thinks she's not wrong and manager needed to know what her employee was up to.
Am I the asshole? Friend of 20 years expected me to split Ubers 2 ways instead of 3 because she's married. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I feel like 3 people in the car, you split it 3 ways. But if one of them is a couple, an item, come together, do you split it 2 ways?
I, 37 male, just got back from a 2-week trip to Japan with my best friend of 20 years and her husband. During the trip, we took a lot of Ubers. After we got back, she texted me asking for $224 for my share of the Ubers. That number immediately felt off to me. Even estimating high, there's no way our total Ubers should have been that high between 3 people. I asked her how she got that number and asked to see receipts. She mentioned in previous messages I could see them if I wanted to. She didn't really answer the question and avoided responding for a while. When we finally talked, she explained that she asked other people and they told her that she and her husband should count as 1 and I should count as 2. So the rides were split 2 ways instead of 3.
Wait, OP counts as 2. Does she mean he counts as 2 people or he counts as the second person, like number 2?
I think they just mean either OP should count as 2 or her and her husband should count as 1 because they're essentially getting at split it 2 ways.
Okay, split it 50-50, even though there's 3 people.
That made 0 sense to me. There were 3 adults in every Uber, so I feel like it should be split 3 ways, regardless of relationship status. At that point, I was already frustrated with the lack of communication, so I just sent her the full $224 and said something along the lines of, let's just move on. She then sent the money back to me. She also still owes me about $80 from the trip that she hasn't paid back. We've never had issues like this before, which is why it caught me off guard. I even went to talk to her in person because she was avoiding me over text. Now things feel awkward, and I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or if her expectation was actually unreasonable.
I want to know who these other people are that the friend talked to and told her that her and her husband should count as 1 person.
I don't know, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm not sure what the Uber etiquette is in this situation. I feel like my response is always to default to whatever makes me pay more.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because, like, I can kind of see the logic of both ways. Like, yeah, you're a couple. Maybe you should, like, only pay half while the other person pays half. Because then, you know, each family unit is paying half. And also, you were already going to take an Uber. Adding more people doesn't cost more. So, like, I don't know the etiquette behind this.
Yeah, adding more people doesn't make the Uber more expensive, but it does give you more people to split it by. I think just the fact that they were all going to the same location, I might default to they have to pay for 2 people just based off the logic of, like, if you went to Disneyland, they couldn't get into the park with 1 ticket.
Yeah, that's true. And, like, I think if you and me were riding with a single friend, I would default to we pay 2/3 of the bill. But then if I was a single person riding with a couple friend and they wanted to split it 50-50, I don't know if I would be super nitpicky or upset about that. I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure.
I feel like it's just a situation where if you're a slightly overly polite person like us, you always pick the method that makes you pay the most money so they don't get mad at you.
Yes, with my friends.
Yeah, with your friends.
Now, stranger, no, we're splitting things as equally and fairly as possible because I don't owe you anything. I don't know you.
Yeah, if I'm somehow forced into an Uber with strangers, actually, isn't that a thing?
I don't know.
But if I end up in an Uber with strangers, I might be trying to screw them over even. Like, I shouldn't have to pay for even a third of the Uber because you took up too much legroom.
Yeah, you took up more than 1/3 of the car, so I'm not paying extra because you took up too much space. Also, your suitcase is giant and taking up the whole trunk.
But these are friends of OP's.
Yes, friends, I feel like I am kind of a go with the flow person. Whatever makes things the easiest, this is the way you want to split it. As long as it's not obscenely unfair, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Also, I never take an Uber, so I've never had to split an Uber with people. So I just don't know the etiquette.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take Ubers during work trips and stuff, but a lot of those work trips, we're all on one credit card because we're going to build a company.
I have taken an Uber once in my life on my best friend's bachelorette trip, and I'd never used Uber before, and I needed to take it to get to the airport. And I'm sitting there with my best friend. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I use Uber? Help me set this up. I was having so much anxiety about having to set up and use Uber and sit in a car with a stranger. It was terrifying.
That's funny. You've only Ubered once.
I've only Ubered once.
Because we do, around here, we obviously drive everywhere. And then when we go on vacation, we either drive to the vacation or we get a rental car at the location. Generally.
Yeah, because Uber is stressful. And actually, sometimes it's cheaper with the amount of driving we are doing on vacation to, have your own car.
Yeah, and also then you just have the freedom of motion of having the car with you. But on the other hand, like if you go to Vegas or something, it's so much easier to just Uber everywhere or grab taxis. And I gotta add in, sounds like your friend also does not know the etiquette because she avoided you for a while and then refunded you the money that you sent.
Yeah, friend sent you back all the money that you sent her. She thinks that she offended you. And I think she did.
Yeah, and she also had to go and ask other people what the etiquette is for splitting an Uber. So she didn't know either.
But I'm surprised that she says, everybody says this is the way to split it. Because I feel like it would at least be a mix of responses.
I don't know. It depends on how many people she asked. Maybe she just asked one person and they said in a very authoritative tone, like, no, do it this way. And she's like, oh, okay. You sound like you know what you're talking about.
Maybe. I don't know.
Top comment. I used to have a friend couple who pulled things like this. We'd go out in a group and we'd each take turns buying rounds. They would only buy one round because they were one couple. Stopped hanging out with them because I got tired of them not paying their share.
Ooh, yeah. Now, I do feel like things like food, two people are obviously consuming more food than one person. They need to pay more.
Yeah, I really doubt that they were only getting one drink between the two of them. Obviously, that couple is the asshole in that situation. I don't know if it's quite the same thing as the car, because you're not consuming the Uber in the same way.
Yeah, that's what makes it tricky.
Another comment. I think there's a misunderstanding here. If you're in your home city and you split a ride with a couple, then you should split it in half because the car makes 2 stops. And if the couple took an Uber by themselves, it would cost the same as if one person took an Uber by themselves. But you all were traveling together and presumably staying in the same hotel and hostels. So each of you was a separate body traveling in the same direction. So yes, everything should have been split 3 ways. Edit to add, I think people are getting too granular here. Obviously, there are different ways to split Ubers when you're at home, and a couple bucks difference isn't going to be worth bothering for everyone. It only matters when the difference is a lot, or when you're calculating a lot of Uber rides over a longer period of time, then the principle matters.
Yeah, like $200, what did he say, $240?
$224, I think.
Yeah, so $224 is a lot of money when it could be, less than that.
Right, because if it was just like one Uber ride from like the hotel to the airport, I might just pick it up and never ask them for any money. But it's Ubering all over on a vacation over a long period of time.
Yeah, and that adds up.
Yeah, it apparently adds up to $448. And then OP has a comment under their post.
Uh-huh.
Y'all, she literally said to me, I asked 10 people and 9 out of 10 think I'm right about splitting it 2 ways.
That is a lot higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, because I would have said, I don't know, but I feel like you each need to pay one share of the Uber. I think that would have been what I defaulted on, but I would not have been confident when I gave my answer.
Yeah, I think in this exact situation, I would think that you and I together should pay 2/3 and our single friend should pay 1/3. Also, if I was the single friend, I would still think that I should pay 1/3 and they should pay 2/3, but would not be super confident in that answer.
Another comment by OP. We split absolutely everything else 3 ways. When she brought up the $224, she mentioned the 2 bottles of water she bought for me. So just a little bit of extra pettiness added on there.
Okay, so we're getting a little nitpicky with who owes who exactly what into like dollars and cents here.
Somebody replied to OP, "Oh, the water would have sealed it for me too. That's just so petty. I did the math for you just in case, so send her $150 plus the eater charge and accept that this friendship is likely over. Traveling really does destroy a lot of relationships now that I think about it." OP replied to that, "Also her vape that she let me hit in this nightclub. It was stolen from our table. She wanted me to buy her a new one."
No, you set it on the table and it's your vape. It's your responsibility.
I mean, we don't know who set it on the table, but it seems a little petty, doesn't it?
It does.
From the fact that he said she sent the money back to him after the argument, I was not expecting this much nickel and diming from her.
No, like, is she really struggling financially and actually couldn't afford this trip?
I mean, it's possible. She still does owe OP $80 from other expenses on the trip. Although she did send him back the $224, so if I was OP, I might just be like, let's move on. And just to wrap it up, why did you send her $224 if she still owes you $80? I wouldn't have sent her a penny over $144. I think still would have pushed back on the 2-way split, but regardless, I would have deducted the $80 from what I sent.
Yeah, because that would just make it so it's one transaction instead of you sending her a bunch of money and then her sending you a little bit back. That's weird.
OP replied, "Because it was just easier to send her that and ask to move on because I value the friendship more than any amount of money. That makes one of us, I guess."
But do you? Because you've been raising a stink about it and she sent you the money back and is now mad at you. So I don't know if you do value the friendship more than the money.
Well, I think OP might have made this post from a standpoint of, am I the one that's being out of pocket because I might need to apologize if Reddit thinks so? Which is a healthy attitude to make a Reddit post from. Some people make their Reddit posts so that they have more ammo in that argument, and some people legitimately want to know if they're being the asshole. And I gotta say, I'm not 100% certain, but I feel like OP's not the asshole in this case.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I feel like 3-way split was probably the fairer option here. I feel a little bit like his friend is trying to take advantage of him.
All right, that's our last story for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.